It's a beautiful morning. Welcome back to Resident Evil 7, where daylight has finally brought a conclusion that is awesome.
We made it. I'm glad.
Did
I mean, we're in the helicopter already, yeah, and it's not Resident Evil 4, and it's a daytime, so we're likely actually going to make it out.
They say that when one door closes, another opens.
This is my high school paper, written by Ethan Winters.
How long that it was. But not just for me. Me and I weren't the only victims here. So were the Bakers. It was that thing.
You know, there were like depending on how you play through Resident Evil 4, there were over 1,000 casualties in this game, and yet we're getting hung up over a family of fucking 4 people.
I had just come to terms with losing you.
This game actually has under 100 casualties.
Start over.
Well under 100 casualties.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is where the next door opens.
And this is
like if you count all the molded as individual persons, then more than likely we're probably at 60.
yeah. If the body count in this game is like eye-openingly low with respect to other Resident Evil games. But then again, this is supposed to be a reboot of the series. Is
And then they ditched that idea for Village.
right. Village. It's like bring on the hordes. You know, you want to kill 1,000. You want to kill 1,000 werewolves and vampires. Go for it, Mr. Van Helsing. So if you take a still shot of any one of these newspaper clippings, it says it's the exact same paragraph just repeated over and over again. It's all talking about instructions as to how to handle Evelyn, the E-Series asset, as read by Mia and Alan before their ship got destroyed.
Okay, then.
Spaghetti and meatballs.
So, now that we're actually going through the credit sequence, I gotta say that this was honestly a really good spectator experience, especially with the first opening chapters, and if I was going into this blind, it would have been slightly better, but I did not go into this blind. I think that. Well, this is a playthrough, so unfortunately you can't go into the video game blind now because, we spoiled everything.
Yeah.
But at the same point, if you were to go into this blind, it would have been a great fucking experience to have, and it deserves to be receive praise for the direction, tone, and overall gameplay loop that it executes very well on. That said, there are a couple of things that I happen to have, smaller complaints about. Shifting off Lucas's fate to one of the DLCs is a small problem for me, and the fact that Evelyn's boss fight is more or less just a fucking cutscene, yeah.
Yeah, not quite like the Atlas boss fight from BioShock. Is Evelyn? It's a cutscene boss. You're right. You are 100% right. That. Okay, maybe if you're playing the game on Madhouse.
Sure, Sadler was also mostly a cutscene boss.
No, he was not. That was a real boss.
I'm trying to refer to the final boss of Resident Evil 4.
Me too. And Sadler Sadler is a force to be reckoned with. He's got a lot of health, and you can screw it up more than once. I suppose that aspect also lends to like what we were saying is how much action is there really in Resident Evil 7 and how much is it just your nerves getting in the way of you playing the game? And this game is, in a marvelous stroke, bringing back that element of interference while playing because of how you feel about the experience.
A more horror than survival horror.
That's a good way of putting it. Very much horror. And also more like the original Resident Evil games, which also did not freaking flood the arena with arcade style with a bunch of enemies that you got to kill as quickly as possible or you die.
To be fair, that only really started happening for Resident Evil 4 and 5. Very specifically actually does have quite a few enemies that you're supposed to choose whether to kill or leave alone, and 2 is plagued with that choice all over the place. I forget how prevalent it is in 3, but yeah, the arcade nature specifically comes up in 2 as in multiple different gameplay modes. If you're trying to do 100% completion for Resident Evil 2 and unlock Tofu.
So 100% completion Resident Evil 2, you do have to
you have to play
kill
it as an
everybody.
arcade game.
Uh-huh. Well,
Ooh, Krista Ashman.
just goes to show how this franchise in itself has, shall we say...
Why does Chris Redfield have 5 different Japanese voice actors?
That is a good question. Probably because they're counting the voice acting done for, like, it's not called No More Hero, Not a Hero. Not a Hero is the name of the DLC where you play as Chris.
Okay.
You know, one guy says the lines, and the other guy's making all the screaming and groaned in pain noises when Chris gets attacked. You know, that kind of thing. Or maybe they got a third guy who, whenever Chris comes in for the big punch...
that we're not going to go through Not a Hero mode.
Because we can't go through Not a Hero mode. For some reason, my console did not have access to it. So allow me to explain real quick what happens in Not a Hero mode well before we get the invitation to give it a try at the very end of this credit sequence. Following the events of Resident Evil 7, like immediately after the helicopter gets Ethan and Mia to safety finally, where they then proceed to precipitate to the events of Resident Evil Village, Chris and company dive into the mines behind the Baker farm in order to find a secret laboratory that was hidden there this entire time, with which Lucas Baker was heavily involved and also currently occupying, because after the destruction of Evelyn, Lucas doesn't really have anywhere else to go. But he's not interested also in just giving himself up to the BSAA, which is the organization that came in and saved the day in this game. Lucas proceeds to set a number of traps as well as locked doors that Chris, with his brawn, his brains, his wit, and his nerves of steel, overcomes.
And his ability to punch boulders.
And his ability to punch boulders, which is not lost on his ability to punch werewolves in the face in Resident Evil Village, overcomes every obstacle, including a vicariant version of the mold called the white mold, that is the most dangerous kind of mold that you can find in Resident Evil 7. So much so that the white molded can only be destroyed by certain means. The means which only Chris can gain access to, and they also cause polluted environment situations in which you have a time limit to get through before Chris's oxygen supply runs out and then he dies. It creates other hazards as well as lots of opportunities to learn, oh, how am I going to make my way through this nuanced game mode? And then at the very end, you do come to a final confrontation with Lucas. Lucas, in a very familiar Resident Evil 7 villain trope, infects himself with the ultimate version of the E-Series mold. He becomes a monster boss, and you have to kill him accordingly after it completely takes him over. The end. Lucas dies at the end of the story. He gets his comeuppance when you come to realize that he was not just a victim. It was not a coincidence that he seemed to be well prepared for Evelyn's appearance at the Baker farm. That he got what he had coming, and there's no need to feel sorry for the guy.
Makes me wonder if Lucas would have liked Sneasel as a Pokemon.
I mean, he probably did. I mean, he's Honestly, he's probably just a little bit older than you or I. And of course, a medley. Yes, a medley is the word because it refers to music of all the different cool tracks that we heard all throughout the game.
But as they were background tracks, I don't actually remember any of them.
This is the one that played during the Fat Man boss fight. The Welcome to the barn fight. Remember the rules, gentlemen. Keep it clean and wipe yourself off.
So, would you recommend going through Resident Evil 7 on a personal basis, Mr. Cloud?
I would. And just to give you an idea as to my experience with this game, I've watched maybe like 2 or 3 playthroughs of this game on YouTube. Mostly Markiplier's playthrough of this game. That was the one that basically, it spoiled everything for me, put it that way. But it was nice that because Markiplier was playing the game blind, that at least I vicariously got to enjoy a blind playthrough of the game by experiencing similar things that he was going through when he was playing. And he did a masterful job of putting you in the shoes of a new player by playing it himself. So by the time I finally played this game, I was well prepared for what was in store for me. Except, of course, for the goddamn motherfucking four-legged molded. I've heard mixed opinions on this game. I know people who would much prefer to play a game like Village or Resident Evil 4 Remake than this game. That this game, it's a different feel. They did that on purpose to distinguish it as a game, especially if you're in the market for virtual reality, which is a medium of gameplay that has eluded me to this very day.
VR headsets are still stupid expensive.
And that's it. Is one good thing about this game is that it affords you options. You don't have to play it in the VR setting if you don't want to, and actually much of the game experience is still intact nevertheless. It will feel like an easy first-person shooter with respect to other first-person shooters that were not designed with VR in mind.
You know, like Series M1.
Precisely. Oh, I thought the credits were over.
The Global Promotion Manager.
But wait, there's more. I actually ended up platting this game. It was
cool.
one of the very last games that I platted on PS4. The very last achievement that I got was from completing Ethan Must Die mode for the very first time. I remember getting the Mad Pelicans trophy, which is the trophy you get by collecting all the antique coins while playing the game in Madhouse mode. That was a fucking pain in the ass, and it took me more than one try. Madhouse difficulty is challenging, but definitely far from impossible, especially once you get through the main action of the game and make it to the Evelyn cutscene boss.
So we were on normal, took us 8 hours, 9 restarts, and only 9 Mr. Everywheres? I could have swore it was more than that.
We tried, man. He's fucking everywhere. He was in the places I didn't look. And also
only 2 steroids used. Okay.
There is no kill count on the statistics screen.
Right.
Just to hammer in the point, this game is not about trying to kill as many enemies as possible. You'll have a belly full by the time you get through this one.
All right, so you've unlocked the Alberto 1.
The Alberto 1.
Secrets of Defense.
It's a prototype of the gun that Ethan used to destroy Evelyn. It's not
Right.
It's not the original thing, so it's a lot less powerful. Oh, Oh, but we're not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. We still have more content that is outside of the main game. Stay tuned and see the mysteries within.
Be safe, everybody.